Hello, Wang Automotive here. Today we're going to be back in Automation, the car company tycoon game. If you know, last time we created that ugly thing. So this time we're going to be creating a competitor for this British Motors LM4 and the Suzuki Gecko. Both off-roaders I created myself. And of course, let's get right into it here. First, picking out the body style. This is going to be an 80s sort of thing. I'm thinking 80s. It's going to be... Ooh, actually that looks... Suzuki Samurai kind of thing. It's 80s, so I'm thinking of using the engine from the minivan, the Nakatsu Yokai, I believe it's called, making the minivan engine and throwing it into this small little Jeep looking thing. It's not actually, it's more of a Suzuki Samurai for sure. So steel ladder, galvanized steel, be front longitudinal, and I think good leaves the coils on this. I think coils might be better, leafs in the rear, that sounds about right. And I gotta find the engine here. I don't want the LS3, that's a little bit too new. I believe this is it, 82 BV4, yep, the BV4 series inline 4. Small little engine, but it works just fine. So of course we have 4-wheel drive, manual 4-speed, manual lockers, very much an off-road vehicle. The only green I'm seeing is off-road and off-road budget. This isn't going to be exactly a budget vehicle. It's going to be, mid-range. Probably like a Wrangler Rubicon or something, But yeah, wheels, all-terrains, decent-sized wheels. It's not flush. It's a little bit tucked in. But, So, of course, everything is pretty standard, pretty mid-range. It's an off-roader with a little bit of premium, but it's still capable of off-roading. So... Of course, we have to shape it out here, and of course you have, voiceover. I'm voicing over the whole thing because I don't actually have a microphone, if you're wondering. But I chose this orange color because it's unique, and I really like orange. Orange works on certain cars. And of course you can see me struggling with the mirrors now. Right, in the middle, we have the front end of the car. Well, it's not perfect. I haven't really finalized the design, but it works. We have a side vent and a fuel filler cap on the side there. That's inspired by the older Jeep CJ5s. They used to have a filler cap right there behind the door in front of the wheel well. Now, of course, door handles. This is the 80s door handle, but I think since it's a higher end model, we should go with a body colored portion. I believe, yeah, a little bit of chrome wouldn't hurt either. Alright, and of course this little actual cup right there should be body colored as well. A little bit more premium, We have an indicator on the side, and I believe right now I should actually do some side trim, because that is a perfect slot for some side trim to be put in there. That is really good. So the thing I want with this thing is, actually I'm going to test it against the other previously made, off-roaders that I did, and we'll see how well it works. So, the actual naming of this thing is going to be the Nakatsu Warrior. And yes, it is a kind of ploy on the Suzuki Samurai. So, of course, now you can see we're doing the running boards on the side of kind of extension of the fender flares. I want it to be kind of blend into the fender flares themselves. And it looks actually really nice. I actually really like the look of it. You can see Warrior badging on the side there. And of course, I think this end should be body colored, which is good. It actually looks really nice. I like how it integrates into the actual body itself, which is pretty darn good. Now, of course, I have to do stuff like the rear end and figure out a design for that. Let's see. Nice. Very nice. I actually updated the front end a little bit. Fog lamps, it's got blinkers on the bumper as well now. And actually update there we go. Make it black. Yeah, it actually looks a lot better. I like the design. I like the front end design of this a lot. And of course, we do have the rear end here, an actual overall vehicle here. We have, rack on the top with the indents for strength that they put in there for some reason. The indicators, really nice to set in the bumper and the body itself, with a little panel on the back there. Spare wheel, and this is a GLS, which is, upper mid-range, not top of the line, just, a little bit better than your base model, which I believe we should go for a reverse lamps, dual reverse lamps instead of the one single reverse lamp I have in the Gecko, which is better, I believe. And of course, you're gonna make it body colored. Yeah, that looks about right. Very good. So that's reverse lights. This actually has turned out to be a really nice looking little Samurai, a Suzuki Samurai, and I really like it a lot. I know the logo is a bit off. I don't know, I have to fix up the badging here for sure. Honestly, the badging, don't really know what to do with it, but life finds a way. I will say, this is honestly one of my more favorite designs of all the things I've made, and the fog lamps, the actual engine the inline 4 fills up the engine bay pretty well, and this is a really this is a really intensely designed engine. So yeah, I think it is perfectly sized. The engine in it is great. The body looks beautiful. I also put mud flaps. It's the only vehicle I've done so far that does have mud flaps. I've never put mud flaps on before. I don't know how they're gonna go. But honestly, I really like this. And now I actually have to get the interior done. So, I am really proud of this interior. It actually took me 4.5 hours to get this interior done. As you can see, we have 2 shifters, one for the 4-wheel drive, one for the actual transmission itself. We have pedals, we have AC, we even have a cigarette lighter. Isn't that fancy? This is the peak premium vehicle. Pretty good. This is very 80s. It's a 2-seater. And of course you have the back here. Pretty basic looking, not too much here. And of course the door cards being nicely colored as well. And of course the outside, I've reset the camera. It's a really well-rounded vehicle. Really solid, I will say. Wow, I'm actually pretty proud of myself for that, you know? I think it is a very nicely designed vehicle. So, of course, the Nakatsu Warrior GLS. And we can go put it in BeamNG.drive. So, now that's exported, and let's go have some fun. We have all 3 of the off-roaders here. The newest one, Atsuka Gecko, the British Motors LM4, and the all-new, this is a 2, by the way, the all-new Nakatsu Warrior GLS. So the LM4, all these are pretty basic. They're all, boxy. I really like that design. One end's exhaust, one end's reverse. Really like that. This one has 2 reverse lights and little thin strips there, but overall same basic shape. This one I took a little bit more freedom and liberty with, a little bit more unique. And I will say the actual exhaust is that dinky little thing right there. Mud flaps, it's only one vehicle with mud flap textures. Exporting to BeamNG is not all that great, I will say. But this doesn't have the Nakatsu Warrior does not have a third brake light because it's pre-86. It is also the only one here with fog lights. All the other ones have blinkers where the fog lights would be placed, which is pretty interesting. The interior on these, all of the interiors are pretty basic. I'm not exactly the best at interiors, so I get that instead. This one, of course, it's one of my earliest vehicles actually, so the interiors are fairly basic, not too exciting. There's not much going on in there. So, the engines. The British Motors LM4 has an inline 6, turbocharged inline 6 that is, and of course it has lockers, as well as this right here has a turbocharged inline 4 with lockers and a manual. This is the Gecko, and we are actually going on a trip called Dead Man's Loop, and well, it's actually fairly simple. You don't really need a rock climb for it, I will say that. But you do need to be paying attention, that's for sure. And of course, racing up the little straightaway here, which you do need a good bit of ground clearance and some rather good sized wheels, especially, something short wheelbase typically does a bit better on this because there is a couple tight turns. One said tight turn is coming up right here, and the Gecko is actually one of the, well, a little bit larger than the Warrior, so you can expect it to do the best. And of course, I will let you enjoy the actual noises, because I've been talking for a while now, and of course, I will be back very soon. Alright, so we are actually nearing the end of the Gecko. There's the end right there, with a pretty darn good time of 3 minutes and 28 seconds. That's actually pretty good. That's better than some vehicles. Suffered a little bit of damage, but next up is the British Motors LM4. This is an off-road vehicle. Yeah, I will set that right there. It's an off-road SUV, but it's much more luxury orientated, like a Range, like the classic 80s Range Rovers. It's God darn it. It's definitely a lot harder to control, this one, because it has extra weight, and it's not exactly the fastest, of course. It has some extra weight, and it's not the fastest. It's more of a luxury-orientated SUV, but it can still hold its own in off-road situations. So, of course, and I believe it has the most power out of 3, because it has 2 more cylinders and turbocharger. So, let's see how it does, especially around tight corners like this, where you just gotta go really slowly. But of course, this is actually probably the vehicle I would own in real life, because it is a comfortable 90s off-roader, but it still has a good amount of luxury, because it is a luxury vehicle with that certain ruggedness you can only get in old school 80s and 90s Land Rovers. Alright, around this corner right here, you can see the Gecko, and well, for a pretty good time of 3 minutes and 13 seconds. That's a really good time. But of course, it suffered a decent amount of damage. And now it is the Nakatsu Warriors time. Obviously, this is inspired by the Suzuki Samurai, which, you know, the body itself is that of a Suzuki Samurai. This is the vehicle with the least amount of power, having 170 horsepower from the little inline 4, which shares, it's the same inline 4 as the van that the first automation vehicle I built on the channel, the van. That was a really good van, I will tell you. Lovely little van. But that van could do burnouts, and I don't know if this one could. I haven't tested it yet because it's in four-wheel drive and we're on a little mountain. But it's actually doing pretty well. Small wheelbase, it's the smallest of the three vehicles. It's the lightest, it has the least horsepower, but, you know, it's light. It makes up for, you know, the speed in the lightness. And it has probably the least amount of creature comforts, I will say. But it is certainly a good off-roader. I'm imagining this could be a really good rock crawler because, you know, lightweight, nimble, short wheelbase. All you gotta do is put good suspension travel and pretty decent tires, some body protection on there. You'll have an absolute beautiful rock crawler. And we go around this corner here and we will see the other two SUVs. This one is actually, I really like this thing off-roading, but we get a time of 3 minutes and 19 seconds. Sustained minimal damage. I expected. It's a really good off-roader. Really good, but the Warrior is not the fastest. The British Motors LM4 is the fastest around the Dead Man's Loop. Now we're here at Gridmap, where we're doing a 0 to 60 test, and hopefully this thing actually gets off the line pretty good. It is in four-wheel drive though. And we've hit 60 in 7.1 seconds, which is a lot faster than what Automation projected. They projected 8.9 seconds. I don't know how they got all that wrong. And oddly enough, pretty tight turning radius, I will say. And now we get to the suspension testing. You can watch this. Can 170 horsepower break it loose? Yes it can. It has the means. It can break loose 170 horsepower. We're now in the off-roading section with, you know, all these are all-terrain tires, so I don't expect much, but ooh, yeah, climbed up there nicely. It certainly helps that it has small overhangs, a pretty good breakover angle, and, well, I mean, decent-sized tires. All-terrain tires aren't exactly the best, but this thing has small overhang, short wheelbase, absolutely amazing at crawling up little hills right here. And plus, the first gear in this thing is surprisingly goaty. I will tell you, the first gear ratio is probably really low, so it absolutely climbs up things. The granny gear is utterly torquey. The inline 4 is definitely delivering all of its maximum torque in first gear. And good suspension travel on this as well. Couple that with the glorious first gear this thing had. This thing is an amazing rock crawler. I mean, it just climbs up hills. Wow, I'm actually really impressed with how this thing turned out. It's a really good rock crawler, and it just goes up things, anything really. Wow. It could, of course, use a good bit more, you know, suspension. It could probably definitely benefit from more suspension. But with minimal, you see, look at this. With minimal updates, this could be a very impressive off-roader. This is better than the mod I'm making, which, you know, big old luxury SUV, rugged luxury SUV like the British Miller's LM4. The mod I'm making, well, can't really do much, can it? This is a beautiful little SUV, I will say. The Suzuki Samurai itself is a perfect vehicle. I mean, I just love it. And you can see, pop into first gear, and look at that torque go, it just climbs. Wow, it just climbs up mountains. This is absolutely a mountain climbing machine here. It just needs bigger wheels, obviously. The wheels itself are street wheels. You know, the little all-terrain tires, they don't really do much. If we get this thing lifted, jacked up, put some much bigger tires on it, it would be a rock-crawling demon, even with a stock engine. Although, it might need a little bit of tuning, because bigger tires, you're going to need a lot more power to turn those really big tires. This is a little bit more difficult, you know, you got to get a good amount of speed, and you got to be pretty well balanced to actually get over these. This does it really well. Look at that, just hops right over it. You might call it a Bishu hopper. My mod, it kind of fails because it's big, heavy, and really slow. Yeah, it's quite right. And right now you're watching a really sped up version of the track, but it finishes it in 1 minute and 30 seconds, which is unbelievably fast. I mean, it handles on road really well. And of course you can see it going through the rock crawling section here, and of course it is really good. If you want me to send you the mod, I will, just comment down below if you want it. But if you want to see more videos like this, please remember, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. And of course, comment whatever video ideas you have, because I will take those videos I will thank you, and I will make them.